Hi, I'm Darren, these are my hands, and today I want to read the most recent Groo comic available to me. That's why I'm reading Groo in the Wild #3. It's a joke. I'm taking a look at Comics for Ukraine today because in it is the most recent. Actually, I don't know that it's the most recent. That's why I had Groo in the Wild out here. I don't know. On a technicality, I think that Groo in the Wild #3 came out just after Groo the Wanderer, The Conquerors. So that's what I want to take a look at right now. Comics for Ukraine was a fundraising comic to raise money to benefit the embattled people of Ukraine and go directly to Operation USA, a small and effective charity that funnels donations to many in need across the globe. So this was crowdfunded like a good year and a half ago, and it just showed up in everyone's mailboxes within the last couple weeks. I do not know that it is possible for you to get your hands on a copy of this anymore. You may be able to find it at your local comic book shop or at a bookstore that ordered like a reseller's package. If I hear of anything, I'll post it in the description, but I think it's out there and that's it. So today, I want to take a quick look at, Usagi Yojimbo to the Victors, but of course we're going to focus on Groo the Wanderer, the Conquerors. We'll probably take a quick look at everything as well, but let's take a look at Groo, page 62. Here we go. Groo the Wanderer, Conquerors, the Conquerors, written by Sergio Aragonés and Mark Evanier, drawn by Sergio Aragonés, colored by Tom Luth, lettered by Stan Sakai. Hang on, colored by Tom Luth. Right at the very back here. Acknowledgements in no particular order. Tom Luth for coming out of retirement. I believe this is our last look at a Tom Luth colored Groo comic. Shall we just do story time with Uncle Darren? Shall I read you a story? There, I adjusted the lights a little bit. A war against your neighbors is more tragic than the others. Men raise their swords and sabers, waging battle with their brothers. This kind of fight is nothing new and one you must avoid. It is not just the soldiers who will have their lives destroyed. Our story is political, but all about surviving, and things just got more critical, for Groo is now arriving. Do you know what I love best in this world, Rufferto? Me, I hope, says Rufferto. No, Groo says, cheese dip. And do you know what I love best besides cheese dip? Me? More cheese dip. And do you know what I love best besides more cheese dip? He's cluing in, even more cheese dip? We've seen this page before, right? A fray. So Groo and Rufferto see this army walking across the land. All he needs is an army like that one, and Rufferto likes phrase too, so off they go into the battle. Into battle I go, once more a fool for fighting. And I pointed out back then, there's no coincidence that the uniforms that these soldiers are wearing bear a resemblance to those of perhaps the Cossack region. Anyway, not getting into the history because I really don't know too much about history, and we're here for some Groo. Groo leans into the battle, take that and that. Ah, I am more the fool than usual, says Groo. Okay, it's really interesting, and it's key that we understand that Groo is mentioning that he is a fool for fighting. Look at Rufferto here. Is he like biting this guy in the crotch? What's going on with that? Anyway, Groo continues fighting, and this soldier declares to his captain over here, that man is a superior warrior, Captain. Indeed, we must recruit him at once. And you know, we cannot overlook Groo's statement here. I suppose it would be nice to know who we are fighting and why, but one cannot have everything. And Rufferto's just chomping away here. I do enjoy this drawing of Groo. I've said it in the past, I'm not a big fan of this block of teeth. I guess Sergio has been drawing it this way for years and years and years, but it's not my favorite style. And so when I see Groo like this without that block of teeth, I'm thinking, oh, I like that drawing of Groo. I also like the amount of line weight that you get with Groo for a drawing of this size, like the weight per size, just looks really good to me. When I look at Groo and Rufferto on this page and Groo here, obviously the drawing is superb, but I long for the thicker lines of the 80s and 90s when Sergio had to produce drawings with thicker lines for the reproduction on those crappy paper comics. I don't know, maybe it's because I grew up with it, but I certainly prefer that thicker style. And so when we have a smaller Groo with this line weight, it just looks right to me. Anyway, on with the story. The captain says, "Come join our army swordsmen. 2 meals a day, soft ground to sleep on. 2 coppins a day." "That sounds great, but I do not have 2 coppins to pay you." Looking sideways at the soldier here, no brains whatsoever. The perfect soldier. Oh, and I just love this. Take a look at this band on this. This is probably a bear fur hat that they're wearing. And just take a look at the detail. Like, I know it's not like an incredible amount of detail, just a line with a dot on the top, but it's not the same as Sergio is drawing here. Sergio is aware that this hat is a little bit closer to the viewer, and he's including just that much more detail on these bigger versions than these smaller versions here. Oh, it's just wonderful work. So Groo agrees to join the army, and he asks, can you tell me who we're fighting against? To which the captain responds, "The most dangerous of enemies. They must be eliminated." And then here's the statement in which the whole comic hinges upon. "Imagine being so stupid you go into a battle against an enemy about whom you know nothing." Amazingly stupid. We'll come back to that. Did I mention we get 8 full pages of Groo comic here? It's fantastic. So on to page 4. Groo asks, "Why are we attacking these people?" "Because our leader told us they had to be conquered. What more do you need to know?" "Soldier, conquer the people in that dwelling." So Groo kicks open the door, because, when Groo conquers, people are conquered very well, busts in, and, looking around, sees this young boy with his mother and maybe baby brother, this little family just huddling in the corner. Groo is confused. Rufferto is confused. Rufferto looks a little bit wary about what's going on anyway up until this point. But Groo says, "Raise your sword against me. Not that it'll do you any good." And the boy with clenched fists looks at Groo, says, "I have no sword. I'm a child." Stupid. That's what he's thinking. All right. "Well, then summon forth the man of this house." "I am the man of this house. My father is off battling the invaders." Groo says, "Invaders? Oh, Groo loves battling invaders. Who are these invaders?" Either the question doesn't get answered or it gets pushed aside, but not now. At this point, the little boy responds, "Who are these invaders? You and your army." The mom looks a little bit unsure about this defiant boy's response. And I love Rufferto in the background here. He's got like a scrap of clothing that looks like it probably came from the soldiers in Groo's own army. Rufferto looks at Groo with that dopey expression. Uh-oh, I know what's going on. Groo is thinking. He has a thought, and it is not a happy one. Again, if I may mention line weight, I like the weight of the line on Groo's arms here. It's hard for me to not compare to my idealized Groo, what I picture as, my favorite drawing style of Groo. But as I look at this, I can see almost the scratch marks that Sergio's pen has on the paper. It's not like a smooth brush stroke, right? We see some edge to the line. We see some jitter in the drawing of the line. Perhaps it's always been there all along, but we just didn't get that high fidelity reproduction in the olden days of the comics. Oh, and can I just point out, man, I've said it once, I'll say it probably a million times again. The work of a colorist in a comic book is so important. I want to point out Groo's jerkin here. We did not get this kind of coloring back in the day. And as much as I like back in the day Groo, man, I love Tom's work coloring in modern comics. Look at the gradient of color we have from the shadow to the highlight down here, but even the highlight on Groo's jerkin, you can see it's almost like Tom's been airbrushing. I don't know exactly the tools that he uses or how he does it. I know it's digital, but it's beautiful, the coloring that goes into this. This is not the old style, I'm making a color guide and it is going to be cut into flat colors. This is just wonderful painting. I love this new coloring. Like, check it out down here and across the front of Groo's body, and you can see it in his arms, across the soldiers' uniforms, everywhere. Just wonderful, wonderful color work. Groo runs out of the house because he has had this thought about being part of the invading army, and he does not like it. And he says, I am often wrong, but when I am right about being wrong, I wrong my rights. Or right my wrongs. Or something. Out he comes, swords at the ready. The soldiers in his army know what's going on. At first I thought that they had a chicken, like a chicken carcass in their catapult ready to go here. I guess this is just the weight, the counterweight. But that would be funny if they were throwing chicken carcasses. Anyway, one soldier asks, is he not on our side? Look at Rufferto here. It does not appear that way. If I knock any of you down, get up so I can knock you down again. Groo's swords are swinging. Soldier, the captain says, you are attacking your own men. They are not men, Groo says. Men do not attack women and children, so says Groo. That's an interesting line. It's almost like he's trying to have his own catchphrase here. You know, Groo's going to make a statement, and that's the end of the discussion. So says Groo. I don't know. Sir, he says he is Groo. Well, I guess that's why he had to say that, because the soldiers had to know that it was Groo who was in their army. Groo, then there is but one thing we can do. Retreat. So back a couple pages here. When the captain was hiring the perfect soldier and making a comment about Groo's question, imagine being so stupid you go into a battle against an enemy whom you know nothing about. Amazingly stupid. Well, imagine you go into a battle with a soldier that you know nothing about. It's the same problem, and now they know that this soldier is Groo. He is Groo. I signed on for battle to the death. I did not sign on for death. And Groo says, if you were real men, you would stay here and let me slay you. But they run off. And Groo comes back to the family and says, well, at least I saved your home so you can live in peace. But the mum says, thank you, but there is no peace in this land. Not anywhere. But I sent away the conquerors. Away from here for now, but they will be back. Little boy says, their leader wants this village and does not care how many die for him to get it. How many of his men, how many of us. In time of war, no one wins. One side just loses less. And Groo says, but I won. And I'll just point out kind of pear-shaped, egg-shaped head Groo, kind of from almost a 3/4 behind angle. It's hard for Sergio to draw Groo this way. Real lack of chin. His nose needs to come out, but it should be around the back. Maybe a little bit of an awkward drawing. Anyway, Groo says, there are many things I do not understand, Rufferto. But of all the things I do not understand, I think I understand war the least. You and everyone else. Now, it's a little bit ironic, Groo saying that he understands war the least, when being a warrior is who he is. But I understand the sentiment that he's getting at and that Sergio and Mark are trying to convey to us. Look at the piggies and the sheepies walking along. But in recollecting the first page of the story here, do you know what I love best in this world, Rufferto? And Groo's answer being cheesed up. You know, while I was thinking, I thought of what I really love best in the world. My loyal dog, who is at my side, no matter where I have to go, no matter where I wander. And Rufferto says, aw, Groo. Groo wandered on to other lands where things could not be plainer. The battles were of many brands, but none of them was saner. To see them through, you need a friend who's with you through and through, but don't think you can comprehend them any more than Groo. Sergio Aragonés, 2022. Minstrel's headstock of his lute, one of those nesting Russian dolls. What's his headstock? At the beginning. I don't remember looking. Oh yeah, the nesting Russian doll. Cool. That's Groo the Conquerors. Let's take a quick look at Usagi Yojimbo to the Victors on page 28. We'll flip through some pages on the way, just so you can get a little bit of an idea of some of the other art styles and stories that are going on here. Some of these are just tragic and super sad. I'll be honest and say, it's more intense than I'm used to. And I don't mind saying that I'm not used to graphic violence and disturbing stuff. I don't think that we should be used to that kind of thing. And yeah, so this is a hard book, a lot of it. And I think it's appropriate that some of it is. So, Stan Sakai, Usagi Yojimbo to the Victors. Usagi is riding into battle, fighting to protect his lord. The horse, I think he's getting arrowed, and down goes Usagi, but he keeps fighting on. Get mounted, Usagi. They're trying to shield their lord. I love this downed soldier, this dead, dying soldier. His thoughts, his words are of death with just the skull in the helmet. Of course, we've seen those kind of drawings from Sergio before as well. I just think that's super clever. And if I may point out, I love when Stan draws with just like the little pupils on Usagi's eyes. Just that a little bit of cuteness there, right? As opposed to big wide eyes or angry eyes here and here. Get mounted, Usagi. A great victory will be ours today. Indeed, Lord, he says. And then we see that the enemy is retreating in a rout. We've won, we've won. The victory is ours. The Lord says, we will celebrate this fine victory. You handled yourself well in your first battle, Usagi. So I don't know where this takes place in the timeline, but interesting comment here. Thank you very much, Gunichi. The peasants line the road. They should be rejoicing our win. Peasant, why do you not celebrate our great victory? Victory, the peasant says. Victory is for warriors. As for us, we can only lose. Our families have been killed, our crops and farms destroyed, our homes lie in ruins, and our possessions taken from us. Now we travel to find someone to shelter us and take us in. And Usagi looks at the village in ruins. Victory or defeat does not matter. For us, there is only loss. It's that same message that we read of in Groo the Conquerors. Let me just flip quickly through some of these other pages and stories. Neat looking art. Some strange surreal stuff. The Rocketeer comes to Ukraine. Look at this beautiful art. Groo. This is some more real beautiful art by Liam Sharp. Anyway, a really beautiful looking, well put together anthology here. Oh, and we've also got the cover gallery. So in addition to the Arthur Adams cover that I got. Oh, and you know what? Talking about color again, like this is some beautiful color work here. Like I love the oranges and the pinks and the purples. It's just beautiful, beautiful stuff. I really like that. I think this is like the standard cover here by Alex Ross. And we've got Dave Johnson's. I'm not going to try to say Bill's last name. There's the fourth cover. And there's some more really cool Groo stuff Coming very soon, I don't know, maybe you've noticed that some things have shipped, and maybe in the next few days we'll be taking a look at Groo the game, the reprint. So make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss what's coming up next. The algorithm thinks that you would enjoy these videos here. Leave a comment, give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you again soon. Take care, friends.